So this is really interesting to me on a few levels, not least because Cassian is framed by the narrative as being the most emotionally mature Batboy, which is delusional Sarah. But this also kind of touches on why I personally don't really vibe with enemies to lovers stories in general. My book club regularly makes fun of me because I didn't understand that Carden Greenbrier liked Jude because he was being like so mean to her. I was like, what? What? This is a romance book? We're all like gushing and they love him and they still read this series. But I read like the first three books and I was just like, I'm confused. Like I spent the whole like first 2/3 of the first book confused. I was like, he's so mean to her. Like he's a really cruel prince. And then and then they're like, she's like jumping him and shit. And I was just like, Jude, what? On my offline book club and I discussed it and because there was points where I was just like, what is happening? And they were just like, wait, no, like you don't get it. Like you have to read into the scene. And I'm just like, he's being mean to her. I don't want to. And it just really came down to I might just be too autistic for enemies to lovers stories. Like I've been in situations where people have been mean to me in real life and not only have I not noticed, I don't know why. So enemies to lovers, I think is always going to take a little extra like leap of logic for me, depending on the situation. This book, book one of the Four Horsemen series, I think for me personally gets the enemies to lovers dynamic right. While the Cruel Prince and honestly, yeah, the enemies to lovers relationships in ACOTAR, they kind of feel like the girl needs to take a certain amount of psychic damage before the guy's backstory is unlocked and then she can forgive him and then, you know, fuck him like a normal dude or whatever. This book in particular in the Four Horsemen series, I think does get it right because this is not an enemies to lovers situation where the guy is being mean to the girl until the girl unlocks his backstory and the girl has not really done anything to earn that ire. Like, yes, this is a man named Pestilence. He is spreading sickness throughout the land. He has murdered a lot of people that the girl knows personally. But when given the opportunity to corner and murder him, she burned him alive and watched him burn for hours. And, like, he asked for help, he pleaded, he begged, and she just stood there and watched. Which, yeah, like, he's spreading sickness across the land and he's, you know, the apocalypse is happening, the apocalypse is nigh and all that. Like she's not necessarily unjustified and that is covered in the book, but that's a cold ass thing to do. And it was one of the first things that she did being introduced to the character. So you got to see she stands on business and so does he. And their romance is born from them seeing common ground like in each other and how much Pestilence does not want to be doing what he's doing. And from there, I think for me, I understood the enemies to lovers thing because they had both committed sins against each other. It wasn't like the guy was just being a dickhead and the girl had suffered enough narratively in order for it to matter, you know? And while Feyre and Tamlin and Feyre and Rhysand have like elements of this enemies to lovers thing, and they are like enemies to lovers, like let's be real, them I don't necessarily mind so much. One, because I never really vibed with Rhysand or Tamlin anyway. Cassian I did vibe with, so when it turns out that he ain't shit, like it feels personal in a way, because I'm like, damn, like I trusted you. Like you were supposed to be the good one. The narrative frames you as the good one. It feels particularly egregious to me when he is a dick to Nesta because they weren't supposed to be enemies. Like this was yes, they were supposed to have like belligerent sexual tension and all of that, but there are times where it just seems like he barely even likes her. Like Tamlin and Rhysand, when they meet Feyre, they like she is set against them and they are adverse to each other, but on like a deeper level you could tell that there was like a rapport there, like something was being built. Nesta and Cassian, it was kind of like they were sniping at each other and sniping at each other. And yes, like good romances and good friendships are built off of that kind of thing. I have friends who I snipe with all the time. It just feels particularly shitty this time because Cassian was aware of the scope of their relationship, that they were mates. And it makes everything that he did before that just look really, really shitty. Like if you're a guy who just wants to fuck me and like you don't really like the way I act towards my sister and you're being like kind of mean to me because of that, and then the sexual tension kind of like boils over and we become like fire forged in that way and I eventually fall in love with you and then I find out that you knew that we were mates from jump and you still spent all that time, including when I was human, being a dick to me and violating my boundaries. Like, no, fuck you. And I think for people like me who already have trouble recognizing the enemies to lovers trope and can and have dropped a dude fictionally and in real life because he was just mean for no reason, I was always going to have like a harder time a with like a fictional relationship with a guy where he's just being like really really mean to her, and then like he's not really showing her like affection like as they're going. He never says I love you by the end of the book, which is egregious, and the fandom is so quick to excuse it, like, oh no, he shows his love through his actions. Where? And even if he does in his book with Nesta, the Ember bonus chapter just like flies in the face of all of that. So like that's even more egregious shit. So like yeah, I've kind of like lost track of my train of thought here. But my main point is that I personally think a lot of the enemies to lovers situations like go over my head, but also he's only mean to you because he likes you. It's kind of like the, oh no, like he fell first, she fell harder kind of thing, like in a different font. And yeah, like if it's not executed a certain way, especially for people who like me, who are not necessarily going to be attuned to that kind of dynamic immediately, why are there so many horns today? Either way, I think enemies to lovers has a way of, you know, perpetuating certain tropes that are harmful in heteronormative relationships. I actually do think that the gays deserve enemies to lovers. Straight people don't. A lot of straight, like this does not apply to same-sex fictional couples. Enemies to lovers, the gays can have it. I cannot speak highly enough of Gideon the Ninth. Like, if you have not read this series, go read this series. I love this series. This starts off with like enemies to lovers kind of thing going on with the main couple, but it does evolve into something really beautiful. And even from when they're hating each other, you could tell that like there is love there. The hetero relationships in fiction, though, I feel like enemies to lovers can be a real hit or miss.